have been louder than anything Hollywood has been this week. Hailey and Justin entered GQ like two strangers on different nights. In contrast to the chaos around them, Selena and Benny navigated their world with an almost unreal sense of calm as Justin went live once more with those heartfelt lines that everyone keeps playing over and over. Then, to top off a week already full of rumors, Hailey's multi-million-dollar Arwan situation came back to the fore. All of the clips, entrances, and reactions feel suddenly connected, and that is where our tale begins. The mood changed before anyone had even left the house when that SUV pulled up to GQ's Men of the Year party. With his friends in the middle row, Justin came out first. He was excited, laughing, and mentally half in already. Hailey was sitting by herself in the very back. In the meantime, she stepped out quietly after her door finally opened, adjusting the dress that she had obviously worked so hard to make. I was immediately struck by how disjointed they appeared. It's that heavy, subtle silence that couples get when they're no longer moving together, but not in an explosive way. I was really taken aback by how quickly Justin moved forward. Hailey followed without thinking, as if she were catching up to someone who was unaware that he had abandoned her. There was no pause, no shared moment, and no automatic reach back that couples typically do. And in some way, that brief moment conveyed more than any interview they have ever conducted. I have witnessed awkward entrances before. This one, however, felt different. Cold, aloof, as though they had arrived in the same car but were spending two entirely different nights. Furthermore, it's hard to overlook the contrast between this energy and the calm and connected movements Selena and Benny have been making lately. Please like this video if you experience that shift as well, so that others can share our experience. As one viewer put it, she walked out like a guest, not a wife. Visually, that was exactly how it felt, as though she was invited to her own night rather than being helped through it. So it really got to her. He never once looked back, someone else wrote. The loudest message of the evening was that one. And it's undeniable that in situations where the crowd is yelling and cameras are flashing, the smallest gesture, or lack thereof, can occasionally serve as the most obvious indicator of two people's positions. And the strange thing is, the moment I saw that cold GQ entrance, my mind went straight back to the lyrics Justin had been singing on Twitch days earlier. All of this suddenly came together in a way that seemed a bit too real. He wasn't just freestyling or grooving to the conversation. His voice carried a certain weight. When someone is carrying something they are unable to express aloud, they have that low, exhausted tone. And after seeing Hailey enter by herself behind him, hearing those words again struck him in a totally different way. During his performance of Is It Too Late for You to Trust Me, the sound was not that of a performance. It sounded like a melody slipping through a confession. I just want to cry, and why do I stay was the next question. It's like watching someone battle their own emotions in real time, and I swear that he said, "Why can't I hold you?" in a whisper. Since that didn't sound like frustration, everything inside of me paused. It had a longing sound to it, intense silent desire for someone who, despite their proximity, feels far away. Since then, people have been divided on the internet. As a man attempting to maintain stability in a marriage that continues to wobble beneath him, I half believe he was singing to Hailey. For the other half, it represents echoes of Selena, the kind of unresolved emotion that persistently lingers no matter how much time passes. To be honest, the image they depict becomes much more difficult to overlook when those lyrics are placed next to that GQ entrance. Things get even more serious at this point because many viewers saw the same shift. It didn't sound like marital issues, one fan commented. They had the sound of heartbreak that he never recovered. And because it perfectly expresses the emotional mismatch people experience right away, that comment stuck. It was said by another viewer that he sings like he's reaching for someone who isn't reaching back. And the weight of that is evident when you consider how disjointed the GQ moment was already. And Selena and Benny were living in a totally different world while Justin and Hailey were still the center of all that tension. Surprisingly unaffected by the chaos, calm and steady, Selena has recently shown a tenderness and a calmness that only comes when someone is at last comfortable. And every new video that shows her does just that. She discussed all of this in her interview with Zane Lowe on Apple Music, where she talked about how their marriage felt like a dream, how Benny was honest with her in ways she wasn't used to, and how he knows how to pull her back down when her thoughts start to falter. It was almost unreal to hear her talk like that, calm, grounded, and truly joyful after years of seeing her deal with heartache and public fatigue. It was not a dramatic moment, not in a performative sense. It simply was. Furthermore, it is impossible to overlook the difference. Selena and Benny are moving with a quiet ease that necessitates no staged photos, forced hand-holding, or matching outfits, in contrast to other Hollywood couples who enter events with tension palpable through the screen. Their connection appears steady, reliable, and noise insensitive. Furthermore, in a week full of clumsy entrances and tearful live streams, stability says more than any headline ever could. A fan aptly described the change when they wrote, "Selena finally looks love without needing to prove it. Her piece speaks louder than any public display could, so that's why it hits." The comment from another viewer was, "Benny treats her like a human, not a headline," and it's accurate. They have a grounded relationship, which is uncommon in Hollywood. The more I looked into it, the more I realized that Hailey's world had taken a totally different turn, whereas Selena seemed to be stable, because just as everyone was still discussing Justin's live stream lyrics and the GQ entrance, another headline appeared online. A Rowan quietly removed Hailey's name from their multi-million-dollar strawberry glazed smoothie. I'm not overstating it when I say that this collaboration essentially influenced her entire early lifestyle period. It wasn't merely a smoothie. It was an instance of culture. People waited in line as if it were a limited edition drop. It seemed necessary to be relevant in Los Angeles, as I recall seeing it everywhere on every feed every day. This is where it becomes messy though. There were rumors that the smoothie sold about 40,000 cups a month for $20, 0 cents or more each, meaning Little Pink Drink made hundreds of thousands of dollars each month. Nevertheless, the resounding statement that persisted everywhere was that Hailey does not make money directly from sales. Hailey's name was the face of a Rowan's fortunes, but she wasn't receiving a standard cut from every sale. When I came to that realization, everything suddenly made sense, because her name is now simply removed from the menu like a chapter that someone wishes to discreetly end without giving a reason. The beverage is still available, still selling, and still well liked. It is simply no longer associated with her. The fact that all of this tension is resurfacing around her public life at the same time makes the removal seem much more significant than a simple rebranding. There is a noticeable change in the atmosphere. To be honest, I'd like to know your opinion. Does this seem like a straightforward business decision, or is there more involved? There are layers to this one, so share your thoughts below. People were still processing those Twitch lyrics when another video began to circulate, which only made matters worse given everything that was already building up around Hailey, the GQ moment, the smoothie fallout, and the timing of Justin's tearful singing clip. With his eyes closed and his voice cracking, Justin sang a series of lines that were too raw to ignore. They didn't practice it. It was not polished. It wasn't staged for advertising. Someone seemed to be allowing something to fall between the cracks. He leaned into uncomfortable questions like, why do I stay? And how do we go on like this? In the video, the internet was already observing their public dynamic, so hearing that caused a commotion he probably wasn't prepared for. He and Hailey keep trying to project a public image, but the tension in his voice didn't fit that. So I watched the video more than once. It didn't sound like the singing of a contented husband about a secure home. It seemed like someone struggling with feelings he no longer knew how to bury. People quickly connected that moment to the GQ entrance, which made it worse. While one clip displayed emotion, the other demonstrated distance. They also seem to be parts of the same puzzle when placed next to one another, subtle indications that a relationship is struggling to stay together in private while struggling to maintain itself in public. Selena and Benny were progressing in a way that made the contrast nearly impossible to overlook, even as all of these moments continued to pile up. The distance at GQ, the lyrics from the live stream, the quiet tension surrounding Hailey's public image. People began making predictions about Justin and Hailey's marriage on the internet, ranging from a separation to a quiet breakdown. Noise, however, did not appear out of thin air. It was inspired by observing two relationships side by side, each of which communicated a totally different narrative without exchanging words. This consistent, grounded energy that doesn't require dramatic speeches or flashbulbs to feel genuine has been displayed by, seems like Justin and Hailey are attempting to grasp the edges of something that keeps slipping through their fingers in every new clip, carrying this unsaid weight. Admittedly, I also sense that change. There is a distinction between couples who move as though they are creating a life together and those who move as though they are upholding a public persona. And with each new video that comes to light, that difference becomes more obvious. It's crazy that people on the internet aren't supporting drama. It responds to patterns. There are patterns in Justin's tone of voice, Hailey's body language, and the way they appear disjointed from one another, in contrast to Selena's serene demeanor next to Benny. And that contrast is the true plot point that Hollywood can no longer hide, whether people say it aloud or not. When you compare all of these scenes, the distance, the lyrics, the tension, the silence, the shifts, the names that are erased, the subtle clues, you can see that Hollywood doesn't always require statements to reveal the truth. Sometimes the smallest details, the ones that people notice when they shouldn't, leak the truth. Benny and Selena are quietly getting up. Hailey is cracking loudly, and so is Justin. Additionally, the internet is merely keeping a closer eye than before. Please leave a comment with one thing if you've read this far.